Hey everybody on the webinar jam and Facebook. How are you doing? I would love to make sure that you can hear me, and then I'll start the Facebook actual live feed as well. Hi Jim, thank you. Yes, I am feeling much better this week. So if you guys can hear me and see me okay, please type in the chat box that you can, and then I'll start on Facebook. So thanks for those of you watching the recording on YouTube. And just tell me, make sure you can hear me. I haven't seen anybody type in. I always want to make sure before I get really going, which I've done before. Thank you, Kim. You can hear me. Wonderful. Okay, so let me start Facebook here. Go live on Facebook. I like the little countdown it does. I think that's kind of cool. Hey, everybody who is joining me on Facebook and on Webinar Jam. This is Danielle, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist and Doctor of Clinical Psychology student, and I love using essential oils. I'm a therapistpreneur. I love to help people know how to use them for total gut health and mind health, because we know the gut is connected to the mind, right? So today I'm going to talk about, is it safe to ingest essential oils, and what is really that process and how that works, and what are the safe amounts to ingest. So before I get right into the topic, I would love to see who is on and joining me. If you want to say hello, I'd love to say hi to you. And as you're watching the recording, you can still do that, especially if you're on Facebook. You can still say hi on the recording, and I always go back in and say hello to you. Before I get started too, I recommend sharing this on one of your group pages or maybe your personal page for others that may have the same question. You can help educate them on essential oils. I love that we're just showering the world with essential oil knowledge, because really, it's the thing that's been used for centuries, for thousands of years, since the beginning of our time, for our health. And so I love that we're just being little, just foundational workers in this field. So amazing. Hi, Shelby. How are you? Let's see. Hi, Marianne and Paula and Pat and Jim and Kim. Hi, everybody. And thank you. I just want to say thanks. Last week, I was not feeling good. I don't want to be TMI here, but I have a little bit of endometrial cysts that are, form in my abdomen. And I was in a lot of pain last week. I thought I would be okay, but I was not. So thank you. And I really appreciated all of your comments on my posts. That made me feel so, just made me feel so good. When you're feeling like crap and then people are like, oh, we hope you feel better. I'm like, wow. It just made me feel better just knowing that. So thank you, you guys. Hi, Sherry and Pippa. How are you guys? Hi, Ran. I always call you that because it says that on your thing. Sorry. So yeah, thank you for that. And some of you know I've been doing a lot of remodeling this last week and remodeled my fireplace, so I had to showcase it today. One thing that I love about, creative projects and hobbies that are really good for you, hi Marcella, to really dive into is it's therapeutic, whether that be, maybe it's, sports obviously too, but anything you can do that's creative, whether that be art, it could be knitting. But I love doing some house and decorating and things like that. So this used to be red brick, and I uprooted that red brick, had someone help me, of course, thanks to Shannon Davis and her husband who came and helped me, and just put in all this gray tile, and of course this really pretty fireglass. Isn't that fun? That turquoise fireglass. So yes, so now because before I just didn't like showing my fireplace because it just wasn't that pretty. And I had this itch where I just needed my own therapeutic time, and I just spent it, redecorating and doing a few things in the house. So pay attention to yourself, to your body, to when you need some therapeutic time, whether that be, going for a walk. I always told my clients, my patients that I would see, teenagers, I would tell them, what is it that you just enjoy doing that's creative? When we're in the creative process of our brain, it is so therapeutic. And so I would teach kids, if they like cooking, then we would look on Pinterest and find some really creative things they could make just from cooking. Just anything that's creative is really healthy outlet, and I needed that this week. So I wanted to showcase it to you guys. It's something that obviously it's really fun to do. So So wonderful. So before, or I guess not before, now let's get started with my topic of using essential oils safely and internally. And what I want you to understand is that all of this information I've gotten from research articles, but doTERRA blog, doTERRA science blog, you can find all of this and the research articles just by going to doTERRA.com, and then underneath of our advocates, there's a link that says science blog. So there's a product blog, a business blog, and a science blog. They're amazing, and they just put little tidbits of documented research, and they actually reference that research in there. And a lot of these are peer-reviewed, as well as from PubMed.gov and many other research libraries. It's not necessarily doTERRA's research that may be biased. It's actually not. It's world-renowned research that they are quoting. So again, doTERRA's blog, science blog is what you'll want to go to. And I'll post the link in the chats here as well on the Facebook. So anyway, like I said, share this with your people, tag them, and let's dive right into talking about using essential oils safely and for internal use. There's a couple things. First of all, we do need to understand we've used essential oils internally already in our lives, probably our entire life, right? Because essential oils are in plants. They're actually the aromatic flavors, or the aromatic compounds are the flavors of that plant. So oregano. How many of you guys have ever seasoned your food with thyme or cinnamon? And using peppermint tea, things like that have essential oils on them. And when you cook them or when you eat them, it actually ingests those chemical compounds and at healthy levels. So again, this is something that's always been done. Now, I was raised using essential oils. So I've used essential oils over 20 years, and I was also raised studying French medical aromatherapy. So I've always understood in that sense that essential oils are safe for ingestion, but I got hiccups all of a sudden. It depends on a couple factors, and those factors are going to be the purity of the essential oil. That's the main factor, honestly, that it's not cut with anything that's toxic or petrochemicals, or it's not synthesized and things like that, that it's actually pure, pure, pure. The only thing that's in that peppermint bottle, for example, is peppermint essential oil. It's no fillers, no pesticides, again, not diluted with some other compound that may not be healthy for internal use. And that's why I like doTERRA, is because they are certifying them that they're pure and that you can ingest them. And again, another thing to remember is the FDA has a standard called GRAS that has approved certain essential oils for flavoring agents for internal use. And all you need to do, you don't have to memorize. I'm going to give you lists at the end of this, but you don't have to memorize it. It's actually on the bottle. You can actually see where it says, like, for internal use, it says dilute 1 drop on this one. But if it's an essential oil like wintergreen, for example, it will say for topical and aromatic use only. So again, it's all on there, and wintergreen even has a nifty little cap that's child-proof and sometimes even adult-proof, right? Kind of hard to get into. And so that is something that helps you remember that it's definitely, this is not a good one for internal use at all. So that's one way to know. And again, what I love about doTERRA, and I remember Dr. Hill stood up at one of our trainings at a Bloom Presidential Diamond Retreat, and he just said, you guys, I want you to know we would never recommend something that was unhealthy for you. We care about you guys so much. So remembering that and having trust, and if you're new to doTERRA, I totally get it. How could you have trust with a company you don't even know, right? I totally get that. When I started new with doTERRA, I was super skeptical. I felt the same way. And I just thought, it's just like any other oil. What are they saying, And it wasn't until research and just experimental trial on myself that I noticed the difference. So let's dive in. I've got my notebook right here, my notepad. I just took notes from reading, again, the science blogs and understanding, because I like to understand the process in the body. So internal use has been advocated by French medical aromatherapy, like I mentioned, for lots of years. In fact, there's 3 prominent aromatherapists, I was like, what are they called, that have advocated and studied scientifically the benefits of internal use. That's Jean Valnet, Paul Belage, and Henry Viot. And so these three have already done a lot of research and study on essential oils for internal use. If you're new to joining and maybe you've never used essential oils or maybe never used doTERRA essential oils, could you type in the chat box if if you're just kind of figuring this stuff out and maybe you're new, never used doTERRA, or maybe you've used other essential oils and not doTERRA. I see your question, Ashley, and remind me to answer that because I will go a little bit more into that at the end when I talk about my personal story. But remind me because sometimes I'll jump ahead on other things. So great. So let's talk about each. So essential oils have hundreds of different chemical compounds inside of them, and depending on where they're grown, they have different potency compounds as well, which is partly answering your question, Ashley, about why I decided to use doTERRA over Young Living. I had used Young Living for 20 years. And so the potency factor was a major thing. And I want to go into my story kind of at the end, so let me not jump here, but first of all, let's talk about how essential oils, like I said, I grew up using essential oils and with the internal use, again, I used Young Living, and they are all about the internal use as well, which I think is great. But the potency factor is different. And that's what I noticed when I started using doTERRA versus another type of essential oil. So let's talk about when we ingest an essential oil for safety stuff. When we first ingest it, it gets absorbed into tissue. And we have the mucosa, right? That's this protective mucus, right, that in our gut that helps us if we eat something too hot, too spicy, right, it'll start to break down and maybe cause an ulcer. Our mucosa actually helps to protect our body. It heals sores really quickly inside of the body, and it helps to protect it from getting ulcers and things like that. So that mucosa barrier, the essential oils actually get absorbed. Some of them get absorbed into there. They also get absorbed into something called a mucin, which is part of the mucus that gets produced in the body, and then it gets absorbed into the bloodstream. So again, it's just all a natural process of how they get absorbed into the body. They get processed through the liver, and the liver actually breaks it down into different metabolites, and those metabolites are taken through the body and have a benefit. So what I thought was interesting from reading the studies is that lavender, right? We know lavender has two components that are pretty high that have a very potency effect for us, linalool and linalool acetate. When linalool acetate is absorbed and taken into the liver, it gets metabolized into linalool, and then that linalool is taken out throughout the body and can be very beneficial. What do we know about lavender? What is it healthy for? Queen of calming, right? Everything just calming the body, whether it be the mind, whether it be the stomach, whether it be a baby. I mean, just it's so amazing for all those calming things, right? I see lots of hearts going by on Facebook because, yeah, it just works amazingly. And this is one of the most well-known essential oils, okay? So that's a really cool thing about the liver is it breaks it down. Then once it's broken down in there, and again, it's all safe for the liver on safe amounts that I'm going to talk about at the end here. But once it gets broken down into these metabolites and carried through the body, the rest of the metabolites are just eliminated through our normal elimination pathways. So the skin, the lungs, and also excretion. So it's all a healthy, normal process. There's no adverse effects that have been found with normal amounts or recommended amounts of essential oils in internal use. So there's no adverse effects in this. So let's go on to, let me look at my notes here so I'm not skipping too much. So essential oil studies, remember I talked about the mucosa layer, right? There's actually essential oil studies that show that it helps to support, it aids that mucosa in protecting the body. So I know some people have said, oh, it's dangerous for the mucosa. It's actually not. It actually helps it. And limonene is one study. And again, you can look up all these studies on doTERRA Science blog. I just want you to know. And the research articles are referenced in there. I've read some myself that talk about how it just helps with that mucosa layer that protects our intestines and protects our stomach. So I'm seeing myself in the camera and I'm using my hands a lot. Kind of funny. With things you do without even thinking, like normal thought, what do you call it? Like non-cognitive processes. So studies also show that essential oils are protective without affecting the normal stomach acid in the body. It also is helpful for the gastrin and enzyme secretion and antioxidant glutathione production. So again, they're super helpful and they do not affect those certain processes in the digestive process. So I see some questions coming up, and just so you guys know, because I'm in the middle of kind of speaking, I may not get to them, but you can repost it at the end when I'm ready for questions. I would love that so I can answer them, or I'll go back in and type in some answers for things that I do know. I'll type in, because I'll just tell you right now, I don't know everything. I had to look all this stuff up too. And I may study brain science, but I mean, gut science is something I study because of brain science, but I'm not a gastrointestinal, doctor. And so I have to try to learn these things as well. And I may not know the answers to everything, but I love researching, of course. That's my analytical brain. Love it. So we will find the answers. So let's go into, let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Okay, let's go into the usage and the safe uses for an adult and a child. So we're going to talk about 3 different uses here. We got internal, which is like a capsule or in water, oral, which is a drop under the tongue or just in the mouth, and then topical. Those are the 3 different ways that we would use or talking about safety here. For aromatic, because there's so many factors to how big your room is. Like I have vaulted ceilings in my house, and so what may be an effective amount for someone's home without vaulted ceilings is going to be different. So it just depends. And it's also not absorbed as much in one aspect, so it's a little bit easier leeway, I would say, with aromatic, with diffusers. So, okay, so because doTERRA is so pure and potent, remember, that's why we do want to be within these guidelines of using essential oils internally and even topically. Again, they're not diluted. And another thing about that is there's no toxins in them, so it is healthier to ingest, but you do want to make sure you're within the right amounts. And this is a big reason why. This product talk may go just a little more than 20 because it's such a big subject, and I get excited about it. But here's the thing is less is not, not less. When you use more, sometimes we think we have something so good, like frankincense, for example, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so good for our cells, so I should just drink a whole bottle a day, right? But actually, more is less effective. So less is not more effective. I keep stumbling on my words. More is less effective, so less is actually more effective. So write that down because that's kind of a tongue twister. So as you use these, you want to be sure you're using just the right amount so it's actually effective instead of making the essential oil be less effective in the body. And so what our safety precautions are, the ideal amounts are to be applied every 4 to 6 hours. So that means that if I use frankincense and I do the normal dosage amount that I'm going to tell you on an adult, for example, then in 4 to 6 hours, I could use it again. You wouldn't need to use it in 2 hours, if that makes sense, okay? So this is for adults and children every 4 to 6 hours per oil application. So I may use frankincense and peppermint at the same time, that's fine. But I want to wait 4 to 6 hours before I use them again, and that's for adult and children. So let's look at adults. So for adults, for internal use, for every 4 to 6 hours, they recommend 2 to 4 drops per application. And again, I got this from aromaticscience.com. You can download or take a screenshot is what I had to do of this chart. I would recommend writing this down, but just, you can get a screenshot of it so you can have it on your computer as well. So for adults, for internal use, 2 to 4 drops at an ideal amount at a time, and then 12 to 24 drops per day. Okay, 12 to 24 drops per 24-hour period. So if I'm going to do frankincense, I wouldn't want to do more than 24. I think is kind of a lot anyway. I don't know if I'd need that much, but if I was going through something major, I probably would. 24 drops max in a day for internal use. That's in a capsule, okay? For oral use for adults, if I'm going to use frankincense, 1 to 3 drops under the tongue, and that's every 4 to 6 hours is plenty. And then 4 to 18 drops. So again, it's just there's such a big leeway amount because it just depends on the person. But just going with what you feel comfortable with is really important. But 4 to 18 drops per 24 hours is max what you would want of whatever oil that you're using. Which is going to be topical, right? So on the back of the neck, on the front of the neck, whatever, or the bottom of the feet are some great areas for your essential oils. You'll want to use 3 to 6 drops is the ideal amount per time. for an adult, and then 12 to 36 drops maximum. I know I'm giving a whole bunch of numbers, and my brain's even like, oh, I don't even know what numbers. So don't worry, it's all written down, but take note. Your brain's gonna take little nuggets from this, and that will be helpful. So just remember, just trust that your brain will take what it needs and is able to digest right now. So let's go into children. When I say children, this is going to be 6 years and older, okay? Because this is not for babies and toddlers for internal use, but for 6 years and older is what we'll talk about. So for the ideal amount for internal is 1 to 2 drops per 4 to 6 hours, okay? So 1 to 2 drops. So if I'm going to have a child take maybe a little capsule of lemon essential oil, I'll just do 1 drop, maybe 2 if they're older, in that capsule, and have them take that, or in the water, and every 4 to 6 hours reapply. Then 3 to 12 drops maximum per the 24-hour period for internal use. Oral use is actually not recommended for children, yes. So you don't need to do under the tongue for children. It's a little too strong for them. For dermal, which is your topical, it's 1 to 2 drops on a child of an oil. So let's just say again, let's say I'm going to use lavender on a child. We use that. Do 1 to 2 drops, maybe on the bottom of their feet, and you don't need to reapply for 4 to 6 hours, because more is actually less effective. So that's something to remember. So, oh, thanks, Shannon. You're so cute. So Shannon just commented on my fireplace, and it was actually her husband who helped me do all that. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. So, okay, so now let's go into maximum for a child is 3 to 12 drops a day is the maximum what you would want to put on a child. And again, it just kind of depends on your child, what's going on with them, and then also their sensitivities. Maybe they don't have any sensitivities. I know I don't have too many sensitivities, so I'm okay to do maybe the maximum amount, but others might, and so just listen to your body. There are certain essential oils that are not recommended for internal use, and you can write these down because there's 7 of them that are well known not, for internal use. One of those is arbor vitae, cedarwood, cypress, eucalyptus, wintergreen, white fir, and birch. I knew I was forgetting one. So birch. Those 7 are not recommended for internal use. And again, the bottles are going to say, so here's white fir, and it will say for topical and aromatic use only. So it's really easy. You don't have to memorize all these. But again, taking little nuggets that you can remember is going to be super helpful as you're using the essential oils and getting started with them. So let's talk about essential oils that you can use for internal use. So I would love to see now for you guys to type in the chat boxes, what essential oils do you use currently internally? I'd love to see what you're already using. So let's go through a whole list here, but I'd love to see what you guys are using. Citruses. Citruses are wonderful internal use. Why? What do they do for your body? Completely cleansing, right? They're amazing for the gut. So citruses, that's going to be all sorts of citruses. Frankincense, yes, exactly. So frankincense, cilantro. I mean, we eat cilantro in our Mexican food. It's obviously meant for our body. So absolutely, and there's essential oils on that cilantro leaf. So it's cilantro, lavender, frankincense, oregano, thyme, rosemary, lemongrass, ginger, peppermint, cumin, cardamom, cinnamon, clove. I mean, there's so many. And obviously these ones that I'm saying, grapefruit, yes. These ones that I'm saying are ones you've actually all probably used and put spices when you're cooking. Essential oils are on those spices. Lime, yes, good ones. I'm loving seeing what you guys are typing in. Lemongrass. I love cooking with my lemongrass. It's so, so delicious. So peppermint orange in your brownies. Ooh, that sounds really good. I'm kind of hungry right now. Melissa, yep, that's another one you can take internally. On Guard, which has some different essential oils like rosemary and things in it, and clove and cinnamon. So again, you can see that these are the essential oils that are really great for internal use, and you using them at the recommended dosages, you'll be okay. Now, lastly, what I want to talk to you, oh yeah, black pepper. Forgot about that one. I love black pepper. I put that in all my dishes because I think it's so good and it's warming to your blood, which I need. I need more blood activity going on, so I love that. So lastly, I just kind of want to share with you guys my own personal experience with it. And I want you to understand that whatever you do or are using or what you feel comfortable with is what you need to to stick with. So if you're feeling like, I don't really feel comfortable giving it to my 6-year-old, then don't. I want you to understand that no one is forcing you. Just because I have my own personal experiences from using them internally. I've been taught French medical aromatherapy. I've done research at the doctorate level. I've done just research just as someone who promotes essential oils, obviously. And I've had my own personal experience. So I choose to use them internally. But if someone else is not comfortable, I tell them that's great. I want you to be comfortable, and you have to pay attention to your body and what your body needs. So I just want to end with sharing my experience. And I know, Ashley, you kind of had asked a question about, the difference with essential oils. So I grew up using essential oils over 20 years. And the difference that I found that was the biggest thing, again, was that potency of having compounds that actually have an effect in your body. And for many years, I had started having some gastrointestinal discomfort, right? So I started I'd eat and I just wouldn't feel good. I would feel really tired, foggy minded. My stomach would hurt, I'd be bloated. I just wasn't feeling like I was getting my nutrients. And I didn't understand what was going on. Remind you, I had essential oils. I'd been using them. It wasn't really doing it for me. It wasn't working. I was taking vitamins from the actual essential oil company I was ordering from as well. And I don't want to say anything bad. I'm not here to cut down or say anything bad about another company, but I want you to understand what worked for me. And that's my experience, and that's what I want to share. So I actually started using doTERRA's. There's 3 things I started using with doTERRA internally. And honestly, within 2 weeks, actually immediately, I noticed effects, but within 2 weeks that I was like, whoa, I'm definitely feeling better. And I did this regimen for about 4 months. And here's what this consisted of. First is doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack, which has 9 different essential oils that are healthy for internal use and for gut health. There's clove in there, and there's frankincense in there, and many others. Thyme is in there. So here, I've got it right here. doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack. Definitely, this was a big thing with those essential oils and nutrients that I needed. That started making a big difference for me. The next thing was I started doing DigestZen under my tongue, so orally, after every meal. So about one drop every 4 to 6 hours is what I was doing. How many of you guys have used this? I mean, it has been incredible. This is the one that was pretty much an immediate effect. Instead of feeling discomfort after eating, it's like my stomach felt like it had energy again and was doing its thing with the food like it was supposed to, instead of sitting there sluggish. It's the best way I can describe it. I was being tested. We didn't know what was going on with me. So yeah, DigestZen was amazing. So I did this for about 4 months, 1 drop under the tongue after every meal. Then so these are my 3 things that I used. I did lemon essential oil in my glass of water bottle or something like that, my glass of water. And I did about 3 drops per glass, and I did this within the recommended amounts. And I actually still use this one today in my water, which I love. But what's great is that this helps with cleansing. And so it was like, after all these years of nothing working for me, I did the Lifelong Vitality Pack, the DigestZen, and this lemon oil. And it's like my digestive system just had this energy to do what it needed to do. Digest foods, support the production of digestive enzymes, I guess I could say. Get nutrients to the brain, which was causing that foggy mind. It was just amazing. And so that's why I started researching a little bit more about how doTERRA does the process of their oils between purity and potency. And I noticed a big difference compared to what I was using before. So that's why I completely switched. And I have loved and had such amazing results since. And in fact, what's awesome is I still take the Lifelong Vitality Pack. I still take the vitamins because obviously we need those every day, and it's for good maintenance. But the DigestZen, I use it as needed. I don't use it after every single meal still to this day. It's like it helped my stomach know what it needed to do for itself. So I just use this as needed. Like if I eat In-N-Out or something, or California burrito, something unhealthy, then basically I'm like, I need your extra help because I made a bad choice. But anyway, this is a great one for that. And then lemon I still do regularly just to help with the cleansing process. And limonene content is one of those that has been studied to help with the supporting and aiding the mucosa layer in the gut and the intestines. So anyway, I hope that helps with you understanding about internal use, the safety, and you can rewatch this because I gave a ton of information. You can share this. And just know that go with what your gut says, because that's the most important thing, is listening to your own gut. And for me, I did these internally in my gut, and it made the biggest difference in my health. And I have had so many amazing health changes just from the ripple effect of healing or cleansing my gut. And it was just amazing. So thank you so much, everybody. And let me know if you have any questions. I know I've gone a little bit over with such a huge subject. Thanks for all the hearts coming in on Facebook. Those are always so fun, make you feel loved. So let's see if you make it home. Okay, I'm just trying to look at some of the comments here. And if not, if you want to get off, that's great. And thanks for joining me, everybody. So let's see, Sunny said, did you mention the daily max that we can do for internal for adults and children? I did mention this, and it's also on a downloadable thing on doTERRA's blog, but I did mention it on the video. So again, max is for children internal is 12 drops, and for adults it's 24. So just think of it as half. Oh, Pamela, yes, there are some burgers that are healthy, but maybe not In-N-Out. I'm a California girl, kind of like my In-N-Out burger and California burritos. I know, it's just one of those traditions. Yep, you're welcome, Ivania. That's sweet of you. Good, okay, great. Well, it looks like I've answered some of the questions, and I'll go back and re-look at them and answer what I can. And again, just feel free to look up stuff. I love looking up at science, and we'll see you guys next week. And have a good rest of your week. I guess that's all. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.